Charlie Munger built a massive fortune using around 80 mental models. You probably know about 3.
Yep, you heard that right. $2 billion. And Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's legendary partner, didn't get there just by being smart. No, he was thinking differently. He had this toolkit, right? About 80 core ideas he called mental models. Meanwhile, most of us, we're just stumbling through life with a tiny handful, and we don't even know it.
And that right there, that's the trap. It's a huge one, because when you've only got one way of seeing things, you are completely blind to better answers. You just keep tackling every problem the exact same way, not because it's the best way, but because, well, it's the only way you've got. You have no idea what you're leaving on the table.
Munger nailed it with this quote. And listen, this isn't just some clever little saying. He actually said that thinking this way, with just one model, is one of the surest paths to making terrible decisions. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on these thinking tools that billionaires use. You know, the ones they definitely didn't teach us in school.
And look, the evidence for this is it's overwhelming. This isn't just a Munger and Buffett thing. We've got decades of research on what are called super forecasters. These are people who are just freakishly good at predicting the future. And guess what? It all points back to the exact same idea. The key is using multiple models.
Okay, so what is a mental model anyway? The best way to think about it is like a map, a simplified map of how reality works. It's a mental shortcut that helps you make sense of things and guess what might happen next. But, and this is super important, you always have to remember the #1 rule of maps. The map is not the territory. It's a helpful guide, not the real thing.
Now get this, because this is probably the most important takeaway of all. When you learn a new mental model, it's not just about getting a new way to think. It literally changes what you can see. It changes your perception. I mean, think about it. If you don't understand a concept like feedback loops, you literally can't perceive those forces at play in the world. They could be right in front of your face, and you'd be completely blind to them.
Which brings us to Munger's big idea. He called it a latticework of thought. The idea is you need to build this interconnected web of mental models in your head by stealing the best, most powerful ideas from all different fields. We're talking physics, psychology, economics, the whole shebang. Let's actually see what that looks like in practice.
All right, let's say you're trying to figure out a tough problem, like why a new product is bombing. If your only tool is economics, you're going to see it through one lens, incentives. You'll think, maybe the price is off, or the sales team isn't motivated enough. And you know, that's a fair point, but it's only one piece of the puzzle.
But now let's add another lens. Let's look at it like a physicist. They'd see a system with feedback loops, and they might say, aha, those first few bad reviews created a negative feedback loop that's now spiraling and killing all the new sales. All of a sudden, a whole new dimension of the problem just pops into view.
And then, for the final piece, a psychologist comes along. They look at the exact same product and see something totally different. Cognitive biases. Maybe the ads are triggering loss aversion, making people too scared to switch from what they already have. You see? It's like triangulation for sailors. One point of reference doesn't tell you much, but with 3, you can zero in on the exact location of the truth.
And this isn't just a cool theory. It's backed by data. A researcher named Philip Tetlock found this in his study of super forecasters. He found that foxes, people who know a little about a lot of different things, are consistently better at making predictions than hedgehogs, the experts who know one big thing inside and out. The broad latticework wins against the single deep hole every time.
Okay, so the theory is cool and all, but the best way to really get this is to see it in action. So let's break down 3 super powerful models that you can literally start using the second this is over.
We're going to look at 3 big ones. First, there's first principles thinking. This is Elon Musk's go-to. Then we've got inversion, which is classic Charlie Munger. And finally, second-order thinking, which is basically the ultimate defense against unintended screw-ups. And I'm not kidding, this last one alone is worth a fortune if you use it right.
So first up, first principles thinking. The idea here is simple. You ignore what everyone says is true, and you break a problem all the way down to its fundamental parts. The famous example, of course, is Elon Musk with batteries. Everyone in the industry just accepted that batteries cost over $600 a kilowatt hour. But Musk asked a different question. What are they actually made of? He went and looked up the raw prices for cobalt, nickel, aluminum, and realized the basic materials only cost about $80. By starting from scratch from the first principles, he saw a way to completely change the game.
All right, next up is inversion. This one is so simple, it's brilliant. Instead of asking, how do I succeed? You just flip the question on its head. How could I guarantee that I fail? So instead of,
how do I have a great relationship? You ask, what would I have to do to make this relationship an absolute train wreck? Well, you'd never apologize, you'd hold grudges, you'd criticize everything. See, the answer becomes obvious. Just don't do that stuff. Sometimes it's way easier to avoid being dumb than it is to try to be a genius. And last but not least, second-order thinking. This is all about getting into the habit of asking one simple question. And then what? It forces you to look beyond the immediate effect of a decision and see the dominoes that fall afterwards. Take something like rent control. The immediate, first-order effect seems great. Hey, cheaper rent for everyone. But, and then what? Well, landlords have less money for upkeep. Builders stop making new apartment buildings. And before you know it, the housing shortage is actually worse than when you started. A classic case of good intentions leading to a total mess. So you're probably thinking, okay, this is great, but where do I even start? The good news is, you don't have to memorize all 80 of Munger's models overnight. Not at all. You can get a massive advantage by just mastering a few of the most important ones first. These right here. These are your Tier 1 models, the heavy hitters. They pop up absolutely everywhere. In business, in your personal life, even in biology. Things like compounding, understanding incentives, seeing feedback loops, plus the ones we just talked about, like inversion and second-order effects. If you can really, truly learn just these 7, I promise you, you will start seeing the world through a whole new set of eyes.
Look, the whole point of this isn't to just collect models like they're trading cards, right? It's about actually using them. So I want to leave you with a challenge. What's a real decision you're facing right now? Seriously, big or small? Drop it below, and let's try to apply some of these models to it.